I'm not loving the odds.
I've had worse.
Well, in that case.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Hello guys and welcome back to another TCON commentary video. Today we are gonna talk about 007 First Light and we will see what we can expect when the game finally comes out. From the gameplay trailers and all the information we've gotten so far, this honestly looks like one of the most ambitious James Bond games ever made. We're talking stealth, action, crazy gadgets, car chases, cinematic missions, and everything that we can expect from that classic spy atmosphere, all mixed together with the style that IO Interactive is known for. In this video, we'll go over the story, gameplay mechanics, graphics, possible open-ended missions, and why this game could actually become the best Bond game in years. So, if you are excited for 007 First Light, make sure to leave that like, subscribe, and let's get straight into it. First of all, we have to talk about the graphics, because 007 First Light already looks absolutely stunning. The lighting, reflections, character models, facial animations, and overall cinematic presentation really give the game that true next-gen feeling. Some scenes honestly look like they came straight out of a James Bond movie. What's also impressive is the level of detail in the environments. Whether it's luxury hotels, dark underground facilities, snowy mountains, or massive cities at night, everything seems incredibly polished and immersive. And knowing how good the Glacier engine looked in the Hitman games, there's a very high chance that 007 First Light will push it even further. The animations during combat and stealth sequences also look super smooth, especially the hand-to-hand combat takedowns and gadget interactions. If the final game looks this good while also running smoothly, we could easily be looking at one of the best looking spy games ever made.
Bond is immature and reckless. He's a bad influence on the other recruits who inexplicably fall victim to his charm.
Look, I know where this is going. Do you mind telling me why I'm here?
Now let's talk about James Bond himself, because this version of Bond already feels very different in a good way. Instead of making him look like a perfect, unstoppable action hero from the very beginning, it seems like IO Interactive wants to show a younger and more raw version of the character. And honestly, that could make the story way more interesting and immersive. One detail that instantly caught my attention is the scar on Bond's face. Fans of the original James Bond novels will probably recognize that reference immediately, because Bond actually had a facial scar in the books as well. It's a small detail, but it adds a lot to the character and makes him feel more grounded and realistic instead of just looking like another generic spy protagonist. You can already tell this Bond has been through dangerous missions, brutal fights, and intense situations, even before the game starts. The scar almost gives him that cold and experienced look while still keeping the classic Bond charisma. And honestly, details like this are exactly what help build immersion in story-driven games. It also feels like they are trying to create their own unique Bond identity instead of simply copying the movie versions, and I actually respect that a lot. If they manage to balance the charm, intelligence, brutality, and stealth aspects of the characters correctly, this could easily become one of the best interpretations of James Bond we have seen in gaming. Another thing that could be absolutely amazing in 007 First Light is the driving. Let's be honest, a James Bond game without intense driving sequences just wouldn't feel complete. And from what we have seen so far, it looks like vehicles could play a pretty big role in the overall experience. I really hope the driving feels cinematic and fast, almost like you are playing through an actual Bond movie chase scene. Imagine speeding through a narrow streets at night, escaping enemies while explosions happen around you, or using classic spy gadgets hidden inside the car during missions. That alone could make some missions unforgettable. And since we already know that we will actually be able to drive cars in the game, I'm really curious to see how deep the mechanics will go. Hopefully it's not just basic driving from point A to point B, but something that truly feels dynamic and exciting during missions. High-speed chases, risky escapes, aggressive enemy AI, and different vehicles could make these moments incredibly fun and immersive. The car designs themselves already look stylish and luxurious, which perfectly matches the Bond atmosphere, and if they manage to combine smooth handling, cinematic camera angles, realistic sound design, and intense action music, the driving in this game could honestly become one of the biggest highlights. And we already know that we will be able to drive Aston Martin, and that alone is just incredible and awesome for games like this one. Another really cool thing about 007 is the outfits and overall style customization. From the trailers and screenshots we have already seen, it looks like Bond will have a lot of different outfits throughout the game, and honestly that adds so much more immersion to the experience. James Bond has always been known for his iconic style, elegant suits, tactical gear, and luxury fashion, so it is great to see the game focusing on that aspect as well. Depending on the mission or location, Bond seems to wear completely different outfits that actually fit the atmosphere perfectly. One moment you're in a classy tuxedo at a high-end casino, and the next you're wearing tactical gear during a dangerous infiltration mission. Details like this may seem small at first, but they really help make the world feel believable and cinematic. It makes you feel like a real spy adapting to different situations instead of just playing through missions with the exact same look the entire game. Something else that really caught my attention is the training mission we briefly saw in the trailers. And honestly, I think this could be one of the most important parts of the entire game, especially because this is a younger and less experienced version of James Bond. Instead of throwing us directly into massive missions right away, it looks like the game wants to show Bond's journey and how he actually becomes the legendary 007 agent. The training sections could help build the character while also teaching players the core mechanics like stealth, combat, gadget usage, shooting, and maybe even social infiltration. The tutorial mission also gives the developers a perfect opportunity to slowly introduce players into the spy world and establish Bond's personality before the real missions begin. And if they do it correctly, the training mission could honestly become one of the most iconic openings people remember for years. Now we have to talk about Bavma, because he already gives off a very dangerous and intimidating vibe as an antagonist. From the little we have seen so far, he doesn't feel like a generic villain at all. He looks calm, intelligent, unpredictable, and honestly pretty intimidating whenever he appears on screen. What makes him interesting is that he seems more psychological than purely physical. Instead of just being another loud action villain, Bavma gives the impression that he is always thinking several steps ahead, which is exactly the kind of enemy that can push Bond to his limits. And for a younger Bond who's still proving himself, facing someone like that could create a really intense story dynamic. His overall design and presence also fit the darker and more grounded tone the game seems to be going for. The way he talks, the facial expressions, and the atmosphere around him already make him feel mysterious, almost like someone who always has control over the situation. And honestly, every great James Bond story needs a memorable villain. If IO Interactive manages to develop Bavma properly with strong writing, smart dialogue, and unexpected moments, he could easily become one of the most memorable Bond antagonists we have had in gaming history. 007 First Light features global locations, including a high-stakes mission at the Grand Carpathian Hotel in the High Tatra Mountains of Slovakia and a corporate gala in Kensington, England. The game also features missions in Iceland, Monaco and Tokyo, along with scenes set in Ha Long Bay, Vietnam. There will probably be even more locations that we still haven't seen yet, including training facilities and other secret mission areas, but honestly, even the locations revealed so far already look absolutely incredible and full of atmosphere. I honestly can't wait to play this game. Everything we've seen so far looks incredibly promising, and if IO Interactive delivers on all these ideas, 007 First Light could easily become one of the best James Bond games ever made. What do you guys think about this game? Leave a comment down below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. See you in the next video, guys.